Hey, what's up everyone? Today we are going to talk about what happened to Frank Gore. It's a story of an Iron Man, one of the toughest players we have seen in recent football history. Guys, make sure to like the video, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. It helps out my channel a lot. Frank Gore was born in Coconut Grove, Florida, where he grew up with his mother and his brother. As a sophomore in high school, Gore even came home to catch his mother using drugs like cocaine. He asked his mom why and had a heart-to-heart with her. She was able to battle her drug use after this, fighting for her family. However, his mother was actually then diagnosed with kidney disease. Frank Gore grew up poor, had a drug-addicted mother with numerous health issues, and even had a severe case of dyslexia and struggled horribly in school. Many people said he was too slow and too unteachable and could never make it into college, and people even made fun of him. Not to mention, with his mother's disease, she also had to be on dialysis and had to go get treatments multiple times a week. He truly had a horrible situation growing up. However, Frank Gore excelled in one place more than any other: football. During his senior season for the Coral Gables High School, he rushed for 2,953 yards and 34 touchdowns. And in the 2000 season, he was rated as the number 4 player in Florida and 18th nationally. Even though he was recruited heavily by many schools, even considering Ohio State, he decided to sign with the University of Miami in order to stay close to home and his mother, who was on her dialysis treatments due to her kidney disease. As a true freshman for the University of Miami in 2001, he rushed for 575 yards on just 62 carries, which was actually good for a 9.3 yard average, guys. So he had a promising start to his career as he joined a completely stacked Miami football team. However, he unfortunately suffered a torn ACL in spring practice of 2002 and spent the entire season rehabbing. He actually had beaten out then current starter Willis McGahee before his injury. While Gore sat out the entire 2002 season, he returned the following season in 2003, where he was part of a committee of running backs. Gore was actually starting to take over the majority of the carries and looking like the number 1 back, averaging 5.3 yards per carry before, yes, he tore his ACL again. This ended his season with 468 yards and 4 touchdowns. After this, Gore said he was nearing his breaking point. He had 2 knee surgeries, 2 injuries, a sick mother, and more rehab to go through. When he told his running back coach that football might not be for him, he was quoted as saying, "Are you freaking crazy?" because he knew the talent and potential that Gore had going into the next level. Gore decided to tough it out and fight for himself and got back into shape 7 months later. He finished his junior season with 945 yards and 8 touchdowns, averaging 4.8 yards per carry. So his numbers in college were not fantastic and nothing crazy, but he had battled numerous injuries and family situations. However, he did put up very good numbers at the combine and did great in interviews, and everyone saw the potential that he had. This led to Gore being selected in the 3rd round of the 2005 NFL Draft by the San Francisco 49ers. This leads us to the start of Gore's NFL career. As a rookie in 2005, he rushed for just 608 yards and 3 touchdowns, but he showed a lot of early promise. However, in his 2nd season in 2006, now being the starter, he made the jump to stardom. He rushed for 1,695 yards and 8 touchdowns, averaging 5.4 yards per carry. He even set a franchise record for combined yards rushing and receiving with 2,180 total yards. He was then named to his first Pro Bowl. This led to him being given the nickname the Inconvenient Truth. After this season, he was offered a monster contract extension worth $28 million over 4 years. So things are looking up for Gore. He just signed a monster contract. He's becoming a star running back in the NFL, living his dreams. However, in September of the 2007 season, right as the season was starting, Frank's mother passed away from her kidney disease that she had been battling for years. This obviously devastated Gore, as he was quoted as saying, "I know my mom would tell me to go play. She fought her whole life. Me and my mom were very tight. and it's going to be tough, but she's in a better place now. He then said he was dedicating his whole season to his mom. He was so happy because he was able to go pro, buy a house for his mother, and she was able to meet his sons before she passed away, which they both were wishing for. Gore really respected his mother as she took care of him and his family all by herself as a single mother despite all of the health issues. As Gore got back to football, he rushed for 1,102 yards and 5 touchdowns while averaging 4.2 yards per carry. He did also add another 436 yards receiving. However, and something that you're going to see happen a lot in his career, he didn't have a very good team as the 49ers finished the season just 5-11. This takes us from the 2008 to the 2010 seasons, where over these 3 seasons, Gore averaged 1,003 yards, 6 rushing touchdowns, and 410 yards receiving. But again, he didn't have great teams and he still hadn't made the playoffs yet. But following the 2010 season, Gore was extended again to a 3-year contract worth $25.9 million more. Now, this is the turning point where in the 2011 season, the 49ers hired Jim Harbaugh. Now, this season, the 49ers would finish with a 13-3 record as Gore ran for 1,211 yards and 8 touchdowns with 114 yards receiving. This was his 5th 1,000-yard rushing season in his first 7 years. However, the 49ers ended up losing 20-17 in overtime versus the New York Giants and Eli Manning in the 2011 NFC Championship game. They were very close to getting to the Super Bowl, but Gore was going to have to wait. The following season in 2012, Gore again had a great year as he rushed for 1,214 yards, 8 more touchdowns, and 234 yards receiving. This year, the 49ers finished with an 11-4-1 record. Yes, they had a tie that year. Gore was also named to his 4th Pro Bowl appearance. In the playoffs, Gore played great as the 49ers beat Green Bay and Atlanta heading into the Super Bowl. This is the Super Bowl, by the way, we just talked about in the What Happened to Joe Flacco video. Description down below for that one. Now, Gore played great in the Super Bowl, rushing for 110 yards and a touchdown, but the 49ers fell to the Ravens 34-31. The 49ers fell behind big in this game, so it wasn't really to their benefit to use the ground game a lot with Gore. Now, this leads us into the 2013 season, which is the last one in which Frank Gore made the playoffs until 2019. This season, Gore rushed for 1,128 yards with 9 touchdowns and another 141 yards receiving. This season, the 49ers finished with a 12-4 record, making it back to the NFC Championship game, where they unfortunately lost at Seattle 23-17, as Richard Sherman deflected a pass intended for Michael Crabtree, which led to a game-sealing interception. Frank Gore was pretty much shut down, actually completely shut down, as he had just 14 yards rushing and 17 yards receiving. And as you guys are going to see, unfortunately for Frank Gore, these 3 seasons were pretty much the only real good teams he was on in his career. Think about that. Frank Gore has put up some of the best numbers of any running back in NFL history, yet he's only been to the playoffs a handful of times. There have been a lot of great players on not so good teams, but Gore really had to play with some bad players over his career. The following season in 2014, the 49ers finished with an 8-8 record as Gore rushed for 1,106 more yards with 4 touchdowns. Gore finished this season surpassing the 11,000 career rushing yard mark, and only the 20th in NFL history to do so. Now, this leads us into the offseason, where the 49ers would only offer Frank Gore a 1-year contract, while the Indianapolis Colts offered him a 3-year contract. Because of this and a lot of turnover and just a different direction for the 49ers, Gore ended up signing with the Colts for a 3-year contract worth $12 million. For Gore's situation as well, think about it. Things looked great as he would be paired with the up-and-coming Andrew Luck, which, let me know if you want to see a video of him, by the way. However, luck, quote-unquote, was not on Gore's side, as in his 3 years with the Colts, Andrew Luck only played in 22 out of a possible 48 games. So the Colts never really even stood a chance, and yet again, Gore was stuck with mediocre teams. Over his time with the Colts, he averaged 984 yards and 4 touchdowns with 263 yards receiving. He did have 1,025 yards in 2016, which is the year Andrew Luck played in 15 games with an 8-7 record. It just makes you wonder, if Andrew Luck had stayed healthy and kept defenders away from the line with his passing game, Gore probably would have had much better stats, and that being said, he still had great stats during his 3 seasons despite the team's performance. At the end of the 2017 season, at the end of his contract, Gore brought his career total to 14,026 rushing yards, moving him into 5th all-time in NFL history. The Colts, however, announced that they would not re-sign him due to age and team restructuring. Now this brings us into the 2018 season, where Gore signed with the Miami Dolphins to return to where he actually played in college. He rushed for just 722 yards with 0 touchdowns, which was the first time in his career, as he split time with Kenyon Drake. He did, however, have his best yard per carry average since 2012, as he averaged 4.6 yards per carry. However, with Kenyon Drake emerging and the team going nowhere fast, they decided not to sign him, as Gore went on to sign a 1-year deal with the Buffalo Bills. Now, Gore only started 8 games, as he rushed for just 599 yards and 2 touchdowns with 100 yards receiving. But he actually was on a decent team and finally made the playoffs again after a 6-year hiatus. In the wild card round, Gore had just 22 yards on 8 carries in a 22-19 overtime loss to the Houston Texans. Gore was not re-signed after the season, as again, the team he was with was moving in a different direction than an older veteran running back. However, this left Gore with 15,347 career rushing yards and number 3 on the all-time rushing yard list. So guys, that leads to us now. He signed a 1-year contract this offseason with the New York Jets. I think this leaves Gore in kind of a rough spot, as Le'Veon Bell is definitely solidified as the starter. Now, don't get me wrong, Le'Veon Bell was actually pretty terrible last year, as he averaged just 3.2 yards per carry, but many people around the league think he'll have a huge bounce back year this season. And yet again, no offense to the Jets fans out there, it looks like Gore, again, is just not on a good team. All of that being said, guys, he has had one of the best careers ever for a running back, and again, is 3rd all-time in rushing yards, just behind Walter Payton and Emmitt Smith. Frank Gore also was amazing out of the backfield, and when he got the opportunities, he was a great dual threat running back. He said recently that he will sign a 1-day contract with the 49ers when he does eventually decide to retire one day, as he spent 10 years there and misses them all the time, and even admits to talking to everybody there still. His son is also going to be playing for the Southern Miss Golden Eagles when college football finally returns to play, so make sure to watch out for him too. But guys, let me know in the comments down below, how many more years will he play, and how many more yards will he have? How close will he get to Emmitt Smith? Of all the videos I've made, this one is really insane, because Gore came from almost nothing in a terrible living situation, a life situation, family situation, and turned it all around to become one of the best in his profession of all time. Guys, thanks so much for watching the video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date on all my videos. Let me know if you want me to talk about next, and as always guys, I'll see you in the next one.